Okay, so for designing this part, we decided to use low carbon steel because it's cheap, and so for low carbon steel we have a thickness of 0.02 inches. First of all, we need to design a flat layout for the part, which is how it will look before we bend the tabs up. Now the important thing to remember in this step is that you can't simply add the dimension of the tab width to the length and width of the part. The part would come in undersized because the bend of the metal actually consumes some of the material length. In order to do this, we find the minimum bend radius of needs to be calculated. If we have too small of a bend, the material will crack. So using the equation, the minimum bend is equal to 4t, we get that the minimum bend radius will be 0.08 inches. Now to be on the safe side, we are going to double the bend radius, and so we'll have a bend radius of 0.16 inches. Now this is to make sure that we get no cracking. So we know the bend radius is 0.16 inches. We can figure out how much the material we need for the actual bend. So from this we get the bend length is going to be equal to the angle times the bend radius plus the thickness divided by 2. So from that we get that the total length of the bend material is going to be 0.267 inches. And we add this to the overall length and width to ensure that we do not come in undersized. Ideally, when the part is bent, you want to orient the bend at 90 degrees to the rolling direction. But because our part has two bends at a 90-degree angle to each other, it is impossible to do so. So we will split the difference and orient our bends at a 45-degree angle to the rolling direction. The last thing pertaining to bending the tabs is the need for holes to be drilled or punched at each bend for stress relief. If left alone, cracks will propagate at the sharp angles and cause the part to fail prematurely or even during bending. Bending should be the very last step in this procedure. The tabs get in the way of punching the holes and stamping tools if it were done before. We used a cold working annealing process for this part.